get started on this webinar. It's an open house on the Pancha Kosha and yoga. And our special guest is Srimati Ashwini Surpur. And there's so much background here, but according to yogic scriptures, there's 5 layers to our being, the Panchakosha, right? The physical, vital, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual layers. And we coexist in all these layers, and our focus shifts between them, depending on our activities and temperaments. And without getting too much into it, let me introduce Srimati Ashwini Surpur, who's gonna get us into this complicated, multi-layered conversation with a focus on the yoga teacher training offered by Hindu University of America. So Ashwiniji, she got her BS in computer science, she got an MA in Sanskrit, and she's the executive director of Yoga Bharati. She worked at Oracle, the software company, as an engineer for 15 years, and then moved into yoga training. Since 2010, she's been a full-time volunteer and staff at Yoga Bharati. It's actually a California-based yoga teaching and training organization. Ashwiniji has been teaching courses with HUA for almost 2.5 years, right? 8 quarters, and has a range of courses that we might get into that her and Anilji have taught as a partner with Hindu University of America and Yoga Bharati. Ashwiniji herself has a great passion for teaching and working with people. She's spoken at many conferences on yoga and Hindu philosophy. She's written articles for various magazines on yoga and other aspects of Hindu Dharma. She's passionate about literature and philosophy. She composes poems in Kannada and English, and it's my pleasure to introduce Ashwini Surpur as our special guest for today's open house and webinar. Ashwiniji, let me hand it off to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. So today we'll be having a little discussion on yoga and Panchakosha, and the open house is about the yoga teacher training. So we'll be talking about our yoga teacher training and holistic yoga course, the holistic yoga philosophy and practice. So with that, we just want to spend a minute to talk about who we are. Yoga Bharati is a non-profit organization. We also are from Vyasa, so we call ourselves Vyasa Northern California, and it's a chapter, by the way. We're Northern California chapter of Yoga Bharati or Vyasa in the US. It's a partner organization of Hindu University of America, as Ankur said, and we have been here to spread the holistic message of yoga. Like what Ankur said, yoga is coming from the Hindu roots, and it's of course not necessarily just meant for Hindus, it is meant for the whole humanity, but acknowledging the source and bringing the entire practice and concepts from its roots without diluting. That's our, basically that's the reason why we exist. And we believe that yoga is for physical, mental, social, and spiritual levels. And you will see that with the whole Panchakosha discussion, how it is for all these different levels. And we are a branch of Swami Vivekananda Yoga Research Foundation, which is basically a premier university in Bangalore. And they have published over 500, and the count keeps going up every year, over 500 research papers on yoga's efficacy in the peer-reviewed journals, very respectable journals. So with that introduction, we'll move on to straight into the topic, that is yoga. So Panchakosha and yoga. So what is yoga? First of all, I would like to elicit answers from you all. So if you can just type into your screen here, what is yoga? Just put your definition. This is a good, nice discussion session. So it'll be nice if you wrote your definition of yoga. Everybody has their own definition of yoga. There is no one definition of yoga, and there is no right or wrong definition of yoga. So yes, Somnath says unification of mind and body. Very good. Become creative, come up with more answers, as yoga has been helpful in and has been in working in various levels, at various levels of your personality. Yes, to unite with God. And that's what Kamal says. Charita says one of the paths for self-realization. Very nice. And then there is yoga is relaxing and meditating. It is for the balance of mind. Vinod. Purnima says, why do you call it yoga? It is yoga. Okay, we'll come to that. It's not yoga. It is also not yoga. It is yoga. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So when you use the word to call it, it is yoga, yoga, not yoga, not yog, both yoga, yoga. So that's how it goes. But it's okay. I mean, as long as we all get the message of it. So mind and body unity, yes, to join with the higher self. Yoga is Angrezi. Why use it now? Yoga. And so then raising your consciousness from lower to higher, very good point there. Getting in tune with your inner core, very good there. Be one with the universe, that's phenomenal. Recognizing your oneness with the Brahman, wonderful. So here comes yoga with Vedanta. So when we say yoga and Vedanta, when we bring Brahman, when we bring Ishvara, when we bring, say, different names for the same supreme reality, doesn't become different as far as Hindu scriptures are concerned. The word yoga is used in Bhagavad Gita in every chapter. So when we say yoga, we are not talking yoga darshana alone. We are talking about the entire spiritual field, and that's what we'll be covering here. So that's why this what is yoga is very important. Some people put yoga as a simple darshana. They'll say, oh, yoga darshana. That's not, if that was the case, then Bhagavad Gita would not be bringing yoga in various ways. It says sannyasa yoga, karma yoga, then jnana yoga, all these different yoga, right? So naturally yoga is not necessarily just one darshana. The word darshana means one perspective or one school of thought. No, it just covers the entire spiritual school of thoughts. So, okay, then we have more answers here. Yoga brings balance and completeness. All right, wonderful. So let's see what are the definitions that we have put here. Yoga is for peace and harmony of self. You all agree? This is pretty straightforward. So then we talk about excellence and success. Siddhi is the word, excellence and success. So do you agree that yoga is something that is, its very nature is to bring excellence from within? Do you agree with that? And then do you agree that yoga is about creativity? It just some thoughts for you to keep in mind. Then do you agree that yoga is about achievement to the level where one can do superhuman feats, achieve superhuman feats? Do you agree with that? And then do you agree with this, which is my favorite definition, efficiency in work with optimal resources and maximum results? Most of the management field will love this. So yoga is about efficiency. It's not simply, I won't say yoga's one of the benefits is efficiency in work with optimal resources and maximum results. No, yoga, if this is what is happening, then you are in the state of yoga. So yoga is very much equivalent to this efficiency in work with optimal resources and maximum results, because most of the people think and associate yoga with simply meditation. Oh, okay, I just sit down there, I do nothing, that's yoga. No, that's not what yoga is. If this is not what is happening, then you haven't done anything on the seat of meditation or on the mat. Okay. And do you agree that peace and harmony of the self is correct? You all agree, but this is also peace and harmony of the entire planet. Do you agree with this definition? We'll see based on the scriptural definitions. So here are some scriptural definitions. What are they? One is chitta vritti nirodha. Patanjali's definition of yoga, chitta vritti nirodha. So what does that mean? It's basically simply cessation of thought waves. If you compare this mind with a lake, then the waves of the lake are the thoughts, and the more turbulent of the waves that are, the less visibility into the lake that you will have. So this is basically cessation of thought waves. So you have still lake. That's what yoga is. Okay, and then the other definition that comes is from Yoga Vasishta, mana prashamana upayaha yogaha. So it's a technique of calming down the mind. That is, these two basically will reflect our first definition, which is to bring peace and harmony to the mind. Then what about the other definitions? Those all come from Bhagavad Gita, where Sri Krishna says, Samatvam yoga uchyate, equanimity. When we say equanimity, he doesn't just say samatvam yoga uchyate. He says siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. He says Yogastha kuru karmani. So work in with the state of mind being in yoga. So yogastha. Yoga stha is to establish in the state of yoga, and then you do the work. Then what happens? Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva. That means whether there is success or failure, or you have achieved your results or not achieved your results, it doesn't bother you, doesn't matter. You will still be in samatvam. And when that happens, what's going to happen? When you are in samatvam, in spite of success and failure, and again, success and failure are the words that we use because we simply are trained to use like that. What is success? What is failure? That all depends on somebody's perspective. And also success and failure belongs to the work. It doesn't belong to you. The work that you drop a ball and it has to go down. If it didn't go down, there may be 1,000 other factors why it did not go down. Somebody probably had their hand below it, whatever be the reason, but your action has its results, which is to fall when you drop the ball. So this siddhi and asiddhi are basically the that is success and failure. Asiddhi, when we say, these are all based on 1,000 different factors. But as far as you, the doer, is concerned, you have done your actions and you are done with that. Rest of it is up to the universe and many other factors of the universe, right, which play. And so hence, without worrying about that, you go on being the doer. Yogastha kuru karmani, just keep doing it. And Ishavasya Upanishad says, kurvan neveha karmani jijivishet shatam samaha. That means keep doing the work and live up to 100 years, doing the work. So that is such a beautiful set of statements from the highest of the texts, which are Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, which is Bhagavad Gita is basically the cream of Upanishads. So now coming to what happens when you work like this, right? Samatvam yoga uchyate. With that samatvam, if you work, you will achieve your karmasu kaushalam. You will achieve the skill of working. That means you can work any amount, but you're not tired, because most of the times it's not the work that tires us. It is all the other baggage that we carry along with the work, the fear of being able to complete, of not being able to complete or not being able to achieve the desired results, and hence hurrying up and not being in the present moment. For the most part, there is some tension inside, and tension always, almost always comes from this pressure inside, and that pressure always comes from a little desire inside to achieve something, to expect that little expectation, not necessarily of the fruit of the action, but even the action itself can generate that expectation. I'm late to work is a feeling that we have, right, when we are sitting in the traffic. So all this tension of being late to the work comes from, go back to the source, it comes from this expectation, which says I have to be there at a certain time, otherwise these consequences will happen. If we did not worry about consequences and take the consequences as if they are yet another prasad, yet another fruit, which is just siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva. The siddhi may happen or a siddhi may happen. Your boss may be very unhappy with you. It doesn't matter for you. You just be in the car. When you are in the car, you are in the car. You are not in the office thinking about your manager. So these are all what we call karmasu kaushalam. When you develop that kaushalam, kushala means skill. When you develop that kushalata, then life is so much easier in spite of all the work. Work is like, happening. The hands are working, mind is working, but you are observing, you are there, just samatvam, in that equanimity. So that is the idea behind this yogaha karmasu kaushalam. So you will be able to work more without getting tired. And then what happens? Then you will achieve vibhuti. Vibhutim also, there another definition, vibhutim yogam. He says, what is that? Vibhuti means excellence. Basically, in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan brings so many anecdotes, or rather I should say metaphors, to show that what is vibhuti. He says, I am aksharanam akaraha. He says, I am the sound of among all the alphabets. That means covers the entire universe. but I am basic, but yet profound. It covers everything. And I am Uchai among all the horses. Uchai is supposed to be the horse of the heaven, the most beautiful and very elegant horse. So I am Samaveda among Vedanam Samavedosmi. I am the Samaveda among all the Vedas, which is very musical and beautiful Upanishad. So he goes on and on and on talking about how he's one of those best in everything. So, and nothing is rejected. He says, Dharma viruddho kamosmi bharatarshava. That means I am even the desire, dharma viruddha, which means not against the dharma, but that which goes with the rhythm of the universe. Even desire is also considered as a very important part of this whole achievement that we have. And that's what Vibhuti is all about. So look at this definition of yoga itself. This one slide, we can go on and on and on talking about what is yoga. And that is how much of a multifaceted discipline that yoga is. So this one slide, I wanted to spend some more time here. And if you, of course, if you have questions, keep typing that. Now we'll straight jump into Panchakosha. We exist in different dimensions, probably 1 million dimensions. But here, let us classify that into 5 koshas, 5 sheaths, just for our own understanding, our own, I would say, to be able to think, you need some framework. And this is the framework that has been given to us by the sages. In Taittiriya Upanishad, we talk about this, the sages talk about this 5 layers. That is Annamaya Kosha, the physical layer, which is basically the body that you see, the touch, you feel, and all the organs that you are able to visualize. All this is matter, okay, matter-based body. And then Pranamaya Kosha, the pranic layer, which is the energy or vitality, better said, or life force, whatever word you want to use to define that. Basically, that distinguishes you between the living and the dead. You have prana. Doesn't mean that the dead body doesn't have any prana at all. That's not true. Basically, prana is everything. Even the inert matter is prana. That is how it is said. But your prana is immense when you are alive, and that's what distinguishes you between the living and the dead. And this, we say, when the person breathed their last, we say the prana left the body. So the main vital prana, which is dynamic prana that is there, just leaves the body, they say. So Pranamaya Kosha. Then Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha. These are mind, according to Western psychology. The word mind encompasses all of these. But look at the beauty of these sages who have given us even a clear and beautiful distinction between the Manomaya Kosha and the Vijnanamaya Kosha. Manomaya Kosha is the emotions and the feelings that we feel. For example, there is a beautiful rose, and you don't really just, one is cognizing the rose. That is one aspect of it, which is basically the intellect does that. But then you smell it so beautiful. There is something that you cannot explain. And though that which you cannot explain are the feelings. And that is what emotions. Some feelings you can put some words to it and explain, but not really. How sweet is the sugar? You can say, oh, it's very sweet. But then the feeling of sweetness is something you cannot explain. It's just a feeling or an emotion. What causes that? We don't know, but that's Manomaya Kosha. Whereas Vijnanamaya Kosha is above and beyond that. Interestingly, we'll come to the hierarchy part of it. Why this hierarchy? So intellect, however, is about discrimination. It's about, first of all, even cognitive field is also, you can say intellect, cognizes, it just recognizes, pratyabhijna, we can say. So basically you just, you see something and you say that's what it is. So color blue, you just say color blue. That is also Vijnanamaya Kosha, but there is also more to it. Suppose the emotion comes and you want to eat sweets, but then, you have diabetes and something within says, no, stop, don't eat. So that higher field is called Viveka or intellect. So that is intellect. That's why it's above the Manomaya Kosha. And then comes the Anandamaya Kosha, or the bliss, or the Prajna, you can say, consciousness. That is the 5th. And now let's go into the story of Panchakosha. That is the story of Bhrigu in Taittiriya Upanishad. So every spiritual quest or even the answers come from this one question that we all have within us. That is, who am I? This is the question each and every human being with the cognitive faculty always at some point in their life gets this question. But then the problem is we all tend to have these questions, contemplate, but we are not serious enough. The difference between a spiritual seeker who finds these answers, the difference between a person who is going to become a sage versus a person like us, we call there is a word called pamara or samsari or whatever word you want to use for that. The people who are just commoners, the difference is the seriousness of the question. And then coming to the answers. When you have a question, who gives you the answer? They say Guru gives you the answer. That's also not true. It's true and it's not true. Guru guides you. Guru shows the flashlight, but Guru never answers you. If there is a Guru who says, yeah, come, I'll give you all the answers and you just believe me, then there is some trickery to that, because no Guru says, I'm going to give you the answers. They just say, all right, come, we'll help you with that. But no answer is provided. And in this story here also, the same thing happens. This little boy, Bhrigu, has a question, who am I? And his father is his Guru, Sage Varuna. So he goes to his father and he says, I want to know who I am. This has been worrying me so much. And of course, with whatever tips he gives, Sage Varuna says, I'm not going to give you the answer. Here is how you can follow the path and go do your tapas. So Bhrigu goes and does his tapas and he comes back after a long, long tapas. And he says, oh, I figured it out. I am this Annamaya Kosha. Annam brahmeti vyajanat. Annad eva khalu imani bhutani jayante. So basically, I don't want to go too far with that. So basically what he says, Annam brahmeti vyajana, I figured it out. I am the Brahman, and that Brahman is this material universe, the food sheath or the material body. This is our material universe. When we say body here, there is universe also, right? There is a microcosm and there is a macrocosm, both. So he says this material universe and this material body, everything, all this is the Brahman, and I am that. And what I am, apart from that, this food sheath, this material sheath, is where I come from. Annam brahmeti vyajanat, annad eva khalu imani bhutani jayanti. All these bodies are coming out of this material universe. So annad eva, from the material universe, and they are sustained by the material universe, and they go back into the material universe. So what he says, annad eva jivanti, and then annad eva prayanti and abhisamvishanti. So they birth, sustenance, and going back and merging, all three happens through Anna, through the material universe, and that's who I am. He says, excellent and really well thought of. See, look at this, right? How beautifully he has analyzed all of this. So I am this material body. He says, excellent answer, and you have done a great job. Now go back and find out there is much more to it. And then again, he comes back and he says, I am now prana. Prano brahmeti vyajanat, same thing. Pranadeva khalu imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yena prayanti abhisamvishanti. So basically, when it is the prana, the whole energy, the field of energy that this entire universe is. I'm using the word energy very loosely. There's no equivalent word. You have to go on just saying prana only. So from that prana only, we are born and we are sustained and we go back into. So if you really look at it, you can look at it as a matter, you can look at it as energy, right? In the scientific terms, if you want to use, there is no scientific term, by the way. Spirituality is beyond and above that, but still just lack of words. So look at this, right? Same thing in Prashnopanishad also, prana and rai. There also the discussion about matter and energy comes into play. So here he says, yeah, I am more than, of course, you are right, I'm more than that. And I figured it out. It's the field of this vast pranic field from where I have come and into which I go back. And of course, I'm sustained by that. There is a constant exchange of prana. We constantly every day eat. So if I think that I'm a static one human being, just taking some prana out of there and I sit there in my silos and in my cocoon, that's not true. I'm constantly exchanging, be it food for thought, be it any kind of nourishment, nurturing. All of this universe is constantly nourishing and nurturing, and I'm constantly nurturing others. So there is a constant exchange. So that is what prana is. So I am a pranic being, and that is Brahman. He says, excellent, awesome, go back. And then he goes into mano brahmeti vejanat, all those same, he figures out now that it's not really just the matter and the energy, but there is this immense, some desire that is driving the universe, right? Otherwise, what is this? Yeah, there is matter, there is energy, but something deep within, whether it is individual or whether it is the universe, some desire to do something, to achieve something. Like you wake up in the morning and you want to have coffee, then you use your hands to go back and go and make coffee. And you recruit prana for that. But if you have prana and you have the body, but you have no volition, you have no interest, say a depressed person could be lying on the bed in spite of having lots of energy because they don't have any more motivation to get up. So you can see that it is something much deeper than just this energy that is driving us. It is that desire, that dharma viruddho kamosmi bharatarshava, right? Even Bhagavad Gita says. So something within is driving, and that is manas. And when we say manas, it's not in a tiny, here my brain is here and some chemicals. That's not how it is being described. This manas can be the universal manas also. So something much cosmic desire. There can be that chit shakti also, right? Something is going on, is what he says. He says, awesome, you are now, really doing that work. Go ahead. He gives some more tips and sends him back. And now he comes back after a long time and says, Vijnanam Brahmeti Vyajanat. Now, no, it's not just this. It's much more. Even to have a desire, I need to have a knowledge of that, whatever I need, right? Coffee. I want coffee. If I know coffee, I will want coffee. If I don't know coffee, how will I want coffee? So there is some deep cosmic intelligence where things are known. How do I know? How does a newborn know that it has to find its mother's breast and suckle on the breast to be able to feed itself? And how does a salmon or a fish, which is born far away from the parent that even laid its egg, just know how to go back and join the school of fish, for example? Somewhere, how does the bird know how to fly? So there is much more to it. There is some innate intelligence that is embedded into this entire universe in every being. That's how, this world is driven. So that is the next level. He comes back and he says, you did an awesome job. Go back again. There is more to it. And then he doesn't come back. Then Sage Varuna goes there and says, what happened? Why did you not come back? He says, Ananda Brahmeti Vyajanat. Saha Ananda Brahmeti Vyajanat. He said, Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. Anandat eva khadu imani bhutani jayante. Yena jatani jivanti. Yena prayanti abhisam vishanti. Sa esha bhargavi varuni vidya. So then he finds out this is the Bhargavi Varuni. Bhargavi is Bhrigu's story, Bhrigu's Vidya, and Varuni is Varuna, sage Varuna's Vidya. Bhargavi Varuni Vidya, Parame Vyoman Pratitishtati. So now I'm going, those who know this, those who have understood this, not just understood, also stood in that knowledge, such a person will be established. Parame Vyoman Pratitishtati. They will be established in this ultimate reality. And Saha, the best part is he says, Annavan Annada Bhavati. So such a person becomes Annavan. Annavan means now he's going back to material body, right? He says this material, that person becomes the master of this material universe. And Annadaha one who enjoys the material universe, one who, I mean, in a simple literal translation, you can say, if you say Anna is food, one who enjoys the food. That's not how it is. One who enjoys this material world. When you understand all of this, you are going back to the material universe, and you are now on top of the mountain, not on the foothills and struggling to go up the mountain, but you are on top of the mountain, and the whole universe now you see, and you get that big, large view of the universe, and you enjoy. So that's the idea behind it. So this is a Bhargavi Varuni Vidya, Bhrugu's, sage Varuna's Vidya, because Varuna led him and Bhrigu figured it out. So that is the grand scheme of Panchakosha that we wanted to cover today. Now we'll go into how yoga can actually take us to peace and harmony and feeling a sense of well-being at all these levels. And are we not then well? Are we not then not healthy enough and peaceful enough at all these levels? We have to ask ourselves. So the definition of health, according to the yogic lore, is stiram, what they say, swastha is the definition of health. Swa and stha. Once you are in the centered place, then you are said to be healthy. That means what? You have not deviated from the center. You are in that deepest Anandamaya Kosha. You are healthy at the body level, healthy at the prana level, healthy at the manomaya kosha level. Then you are healthy at vijnanamaya kosha level. Then you are able to reach that anandamaya kosha also, and you are healthy at that level too. So when you are healthy at all these levels, then you are said to be healthy. Then what is it that is lacking? At the Annamaya Kosha level, we may have pains and aches. And if we don't have any pains and aches or any problem, let's take a young 20-year-old youth. The health is not an absence of disease or anything. It is much more than that. How much can that young 20-year-old youth can achieve in a given 24 hours or in a given 1 month? Are they healthy enough that one day they sleep a little less, they're okay. One day they sleep a little more, they're okay. One day they get to work a little more, they're okay. One day they get to climb, the mountain and they are okay. One day they are able to, take some additional load of something comes up and they have to take that additional load, they're okay. So all this, extremities of life, if they're able to handle what we call stress testing of a car, we say, right? How good the car is tested using some extra load that is being put on us, put on the car. Now, we have to also define health in that. How robust are we? How much stamina do we have? So this all of this defines health. So youth, however, abuse themselves. They don't want to sleep, and they sleep 5 hours a day. So body can still take it, no doubt about it. So they are still somewhat robust enough, but you cannot just be dragging it to the point of exhaustion. You can only increase the resilience to the point where you don't have to sleep more. For example, yogi sleeps for 3 hours, 4 hours, because they don't need the sleep. Not that you need the sleep and you are still cutting down the sleep. So the idea is, how robust can you be? That's what defines health. So at Annamaya Kosha level, we give practices such as asana, pranayama, bandhas, and mudras for you to strengthen from within and build that vitality. Not simply physical strength, not simply exercises. Asanas and pranayama and all these are much more than that. I should have put pranayama under pranamaya kosha, but nevertheless, they are not, there is no watertight compartments here anyway. Asana, bandha, and mudras, kriyas, we can say, cleansing kriyas like jalneti and vamandoti, where you drink saline water and vomit and all these things. These are all excellent practices for Annamaya Kosha. So pranamaya kosha is the breath work. When we say pranayama, we are not talking just breathing. We are talking about controlling the prana within. For example, there are great yogis who have even stopped their heart, almost like to the point of flutter. That is pranayama, where the prana in the heart region is being controlled, is being mastered. They know how to operate any part of their body. And that is only through volition. That is pranayama, where you control and develop mastery over prana. And breath is a handle to that. And hence we use the breath. Ultimately, you have to use the mind. So breath is a handle to the mind. And that's what is used to control prana. And our disturbances also, when we are disturbed in the mind, our prana gets disturbed. So there is a link between all these different layers. And that's why pranayama, the breath, is a beautiful handle, something we can control. It has both voluntary and non-voluntary, involuntary aspects to it. So that's why we use breath to practice pranayama. Then Manomaya Kosha. Now here is where this is the seat of the problems that modern people have. What is that? It's this two things. One is attachment and the aversion. That is, I like this and I don't like this. That is okay to say, but I like this so much that without this, I cannot live. I hate it so much that if that is around, I cannot live. These are the problems that we have. And for the most part, without our knowledge, many a times without even knowing this, we are constantly in this I like and I don't like business. Constantly, we are shuffling between that feeling. And to come out of that, what do we need to do? Pratipaksha bhavana, that is to develop the positive thought. You cannot just say that, oh, don't think this negative thought. Not possible. Mind is the one that naturally wants to think, and it will think something, but give it something positive. Keep the mind busy with positive activity so that the negativity starts going down. And you may say that once we stop the positivity, it will come back again. Yes, but then repeated training of the mind will then, the way neural structure happens is you start enjoying those positive activities. And then there is no scope. You will start realizing, oh, why am I even engaging in these negative thoughts? I was enjoying so much and suddenly this thought comes and no, is it worth it? No. So this natural Vijnanamaya Kosha will start, intellect will start acting on it. Then it says, wait, we start training your entire system to really think positive. That happens naturally. You don't need to do anything about it. All you have to do is bring Pratipaksha Bhavana. One of the sutras in Patanjali Yoga Sutra is Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam. This is Maitri is friendship. Karuna is compassion. Mudita is gladness. Upeksha is just letting it be. So for example, when someone comes with a news that they have bought a new car, and you wanted to buy it for a while, the first thing that happens, envy. Instead, bring Maitri. If you are a good friend, your good friend is getting a good car, then you should be happy. Maitri. Karuna. Someone says, hey, I'm not feeling well and this and that. And oh, let me stay away from it. Nothing wrong with that. These COVID days, you have to stay away. But if there is a way to help that person, for whatever reason, instead of staying away, oh God, this person, oh my God, now I'm going to get into a lot of these, oh, why should I be worrying about that? Let me stay away. We, on the other hand, run away. Instead, if there is anything you can do to be compassionate, Karuna. Mudita. Someone said they got their promotion, but you were waiting for that promotion. You want to pull their leg down. This is how it operates in the corporate world. Instead, be glad for them. And then Upeksha. Someone betrayed you. And the first thing that happens is, let's see what is the opportunity I get to go and do this and that to that person. Instead, they say, it's okay. You can learn to say it's okay. Doesn't mean that you have to take anything lying down. That's not the point. Response is different from reaction. So response, if some response has to be given, it's a different story. Even that intellect layer takes over and discrimination happens. Should I take this? Should I not take this lying down? Should I let go? Should I not let go? All this is done by the Vijnanamaya Kosha. But Manomaya Kosha, when it gets involved, it is the feelings and these feeling of ill will that happens, and you relive that betrayal and you go on suffering and suffering and suffering, and what they call PTSD and this and that. The person who has hurt you only once, but we hurt ourselves a million times on top of it, reliving the same thoughts. So that's what you should not do. But if you have to give a response to that, for whatever be the response, however severe that response has to be to bring justice to yourself, that's a different story. But not getting involved in the mind. If you have to say, in case of a divorce, for example, right? One doesn't have to hate the other person. You want to separate, that's a different story. So these are some of the things that yoga as a field of knowledge, as a field of viveka and vairagya, in teaching all these wonderful practices. It just gives you so many gems of knowledge, the pieces that they sprout here and there, and they go, the light bulbs go on when the real need is there. So that's why Vijnanamaya Kosha and Manomaya Kosha are the most important layers. Now coming down to Anandamaya Kosha, here we already have worked on all these other layers, and when we are in touch with our deepest self, silence, samadhi happens on its own. Again, we are not doing anything there. But again, what happens is, you may sit on a seat of meditation, you are absolutely fine. You come out of it, then the tendencies may be there, right? They say Vishwamitra, so who did tapas for hundreds of years, thousands of years, and then one Menaka shows up and he's attracted to that lady, and all his yoga went away, right? We can say he stopped. So again, he comes back and he says, oh God, what did I do? Let me go back and do tapas tattva. And again, thousands of years. So that's what Anandamaya Kosha is all about. You go back and work on your deeper levels, and then eventually Vishwamitra becomes the Brahmarshi. So the idea here is, we all are that Vishwamitra, and we all have this tendency that comes, and we kind of slip. Nothing wrong. Again, the beauty of the yoga field is, there is no judgment. Nobody says, oh yeah, once you committed this mistake, you are done and you are completely condemned. No, you have as many choices, as many lives, as much eternity. Basically, you are here to experiment on yourself and make mistakes. I mean, make mistakes doesn't mean you have to go and make mistakes. Mistakes happen, so you just proceed. So that's what Panchakosha is all about, and not sitting on the mat alone. As you saw, that if you have to work 24/7 in yoga, the field of karma yoga, where you are working with detached feelings, not just detachment from fruits, but detachment from work itself, from any expectation from yourself, from others, just karma yoga. And then bhakti yoga is about love and surrender. Why love and surrender? When you love, you surrender. You love your spouse, for example, they say something and you will just do it. You won't question. You love your child, and the child, you just simply surrender to the needs of the child. So that is what surrender is all about. But when you take a person or a little object for love, then it is filled, there are fallacies to it. The object, everything in this universe is temporary, because everything is transient. When today you may love that object, tomorrow you may not. So the whole thing changes. Whereas when you love something that is never changing, something that is permanent, then there is no question of ups and downs. That's the reason to choose the divine. It doesn't mean that you should not love the human beings around. Do love them, but do love you as if you are loving God. If they are not that convenient for you all the time, continue to love them the same. Can you? When that happens, yes, you are in bhakti yoga. See everyone as that divine element of divine. That also is bhakti yoga. And jnana yoga is about reflection, shravana, manana, nididhyasana, listening, reflection, and contemplation. And of course, constantly understanding what is happiness versus what brings happiness. This distinction between what is happiness and what brings happiness is jnana yoga. And finally, we come to our favorite yoga, which is the Raja Yoga, that is yoga practice on the mat. And when we say yoga practice on the mat, it is constant meditative, awareful, mindful practice on the mat, involving breath, involving body movements, involving the bandhas, involving the mudras, involving your entire being. And so you basically flow with that entire being in sthiram and in sukham. So with that, we basically come back to peace and harmony of self, excellence and success naturally, creativity, because you don't have any more baggage of ego and baggage of expectations. Your natural creativity comes up, which is why we are born, to manifest something nice, something that is very innate to us, understanding who you are and whatever is your innate structure within, that brings out something very innate to you. And so when the world thinks about success, failure, and if you went to some Harvard, you are successful, if you earned this much money, you're successful, versus I just painted a beautiful painting and I'm successful. That is my own success and my own superhuman feat that I was aiming to achieve, and I did. So that is the idea of this whole, existence and our creativity, and we achieve all of these things. And finally, we achieve peace and harmony of the entire planet. So that is the idea behind this entire Panchakosha model of yoga. And with that, I would like to move on straight into the announcement of our courses, and then we'll have questions and answers. So keep typing your questions. And today we are going to be talking about two courses. One is the Holistic Yoga Philosophy and Practice. This is a 3-credit course, and it starts on January 22nd. It goes up to February 6th. Like what you just heard, this kind of, grand scheme of yoga, that's what you need to go and explore. And that exploration is possible with this 3-credit course. And this time we have brought it in a different way. We have brought it in 3 weekends. Basically, we'll be covering it in 3 weekends, Saturday and Sunday, for 5 hours each day. And there are 2 options that we are giving. Option 1 is on Saturday and Sunday for the West Coast, or even Mountain Time. You have 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. PST, and followed by half an hour just break, and then we go in straight into continue. And so totally it's just about 5.5 hours. Half an hour of break, so 5.5 hours, one shot. The other option for East Coast or even Central Time, if you like to take a break, which is because yoga needs to be practiced in the morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. your time, you finish your yoga practice and various things we do in the morning, which are more hands-on. And then of course, even through the other rest of the time, we'll be doing some hands-on, but more hands-on will happen in the morning. Hence you have 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. EST, followed by again 12:30 to 3:30 as didactics, that is some talks and some hands-on practices and various meditation practices, pranayama, etc. happens towards the later part. So this course introduces you to a wide range of practices and concepts, and these credits can be applied towards the teacher training also. Whether you can upgrade to the teacher training right away, or you can come back to it in the next 2 years. So here is our next course, which is the teacher training, which is basically a 14-credit course, and it has 4 modules. Module 1 is the main module where we bring yoga foundation, and teacher training happens here. And the duration here is same, January 22nd to April 24th, so almost 3 months, more than 3 months, but actually you get some couple of days off in between, so you pretty much are practicing and doing this for about 120 or more hours, we can say about close to 140 hours. This happens on again January. First 3 weekends of that is basically what we saw here. This Holistic Yoga Philosophy and Practice is the first part of module 1, the 3 weekends, and then we go on for the rest of the weekends, whereas Holistic Yoga folks finish that. We go into teacher training aspects and deeper into yoga anatomy, yoga philosophy, and various things. So that is module 1. And again, same options. Morning, you have PST and Mountain Time options, and you have CST and EST time options. So you can pick whichever. And of course, you can be in EST and still pick the West Coast timings. But if you are in West Coast and you want to pick East Coast, it is 4 a.m. Remember that. So then we have module 2, which is electives mainly, and those are 15 hours. In fact, these electives, you can even come back to HUA and take up, say, Bhagavad Gita course, any of these Hindu courses you can take for those 15 hours. And we also at Yoga Bharati provide courses, shorter courses, shorter workshops. You can take any of those to meet your 15-hour electives. We give that as a choice because we know that different people have different interests. Some of them may want more asanas, some of them may want Bhagavad Gita, some may want Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So all these you can explore. 15 is the minimum, but we encourage you to do up to 30. That will give you an excellent education on the field that you're interested. Why? Because once you take, say, some course in HUA on, say, Bhagavad Gita, right? And then you want to use that aspect to write your field report. We also have a field report for 20 pages, sort of a small, very small dissertation, very easy to do actually. So that is why it's good to explore those 15 hours or even more, ideally 30 hours, 3 credits would be best. And then we have practicum training, module 3, where we ask you to shadow and help teachers. Right now, many classes, all the classes are happening online. We ask you to shadow those classes to understand different teachings and then different teachers of our own Yoga Bharati teachers. And then finally, get ready for practicum delivery, that is independent teaching. And we have mentors with us available for you to guide, for us to guide you. Okay, so if you have, this is pretty much, these are the 2 courses, and that completes this. And if you have any questions, we are here to answer.
So Gagandaji, I'll send you an email or a contact. You can reach out to me directly. I don't see too many questions in the chat. I think you took some of them. Nobody's put questions in the Q&A box. Please, folks, we got over 80 folks now. Now is the time to ask your questions to Ashwiniji, and Anilji also is with us, who can help out. If you want to raise your hand in the participant window, you can do that as well. There we go. Ramji is asking, why do rishis say that in Annamaya Kosha, there's complete bliss and a sense of inadequacy, fear, greed, all negative traits disappear. I know one has to be in that state to experience what it's like, but any hints from a material existence as to why this state of Anandamaya Kosha leads to endless joy? Question.
When you are in the body all the time, so now we are coming to a different definition here. When I say I'm in the body, I'm always thinking about my body, how do I look, and I know nice cosmetics and this and that. So we are constantly living in that identification of the body. Then you will have all these inadequacies. So that is the idea behind this. Hope that answers.
Ashwini, there are some chat in the chat. There are many questions you want to take up.
Yeah. So follow your heart. Yes, there's a famous quote, but always seems like mind is the culprit. Correct. Very good question there. Follow your heart is not exactly the same as what we talked about. When we say follow your heart, you understand who you are. Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. That means you understand who you are first. And if that your mind, Manomaya Kosha, has these innate desires, right? That those desires, for example, I want to heal somebody. That was my inner calling. So that is the heart. But when we are talking about the, there is a awareful desire, dharma viruddho kamosmi, and there is this, vasana-based desire. Like I want to grab that sweet and eat in the evening when we are tired. We just don't, mind is saying, the other mind is saying, that is the intellect is saying, no, don't do that. Don't do that. It's a junk food. Don't do that. But we just somehow grab and eat while the intellect is still speaking. That desire is different from the desire that, hey, there is something inner calling. So that is a very awareful desire. So that is what we meant. Okay, good.
Let me launch this quick poll. Just let us know if you're interested in enrolling. Just click yes, no, maybe. I sent general yoga and we'll follow up on the specific course. If you have questions, please do that. Yeah, it makes it easier for us to follow up and get you plugged in. And these weekly webinars, we're happy to do them free. Everyone can join. Please share the word. But that next layer of engagement, of knowledge, of elevating your own self comes through courses and the discipline and the dedication that we offer through the learning management system, through all the different programs we have at Hindu University of America, and that direct engagement with wonderful gurus like Ashwiniji. So right now we're in the webinar mode. You don't get the exact interaction. We're still trying to take your questions, but obviously in a course, you have direct access, and Ashwiniji obviously is so willing and wonderful at answering questions that you may have and walking us through it. So please do fill out that quick poll. 26 out of 70 people have filled it out so far. Please just hit yes. No is fine also. If you're not interested, just makes it easy for us to then not follow up with you. So it's better for you to answer one way or not, whatever it is. So please fill that out. Back to you, Ashwiniji. I don't know if there were any other questions.
Yeah, there is one question here about the picture of the Panchakosha. Yeah, the very good question there, and very apt, very good thinking also. So basically, why was the Annamaya Kosha outside? Can we draw like with Annamaya Kosha outside and Anandamaya Kosha inside, or vice versa, right? Both are possible. When you draw it as Annamaya Kosha outside and then an Anandamaya Kosha inside, we are talking about the innermost layer, right? That is when we say innermost, we are going from material world, which we term as outside, and inner world, which we term as inside. The other way, when someone draws, what they are trying to say is the Anandamaya Kosha is the, it gives you the expansion. So they say expansive awareness, versus when you are in the Annamaya Kosha, you feel, you are constricted because this body has limited degree of freedom. Whereas this Anandamaya Kosha, the consciousness, has highest degree of freedom. So from the degree of freedom point of view, you can always draw Anandamaya Kosha as outside. So that very good question, Koti, there. And yeah. Are you similar to Brahma Kumaris? I don't know how to compare like that. Let's talk about who we are. We are just, we bring evidence-based practices, but without sacrificing the classical nature of yoga. And most of our practices are really, we don't have a particular lineage as such. That distinguishes, if you want to call, how are you different from Brahma Kumaris, from the very limited knowledge that I have about Brahma Kumaris. We basically give the knowledge as if it is a university or in any setting like that. And all of our asanas, the practices are also more scripture based, and we follow holistic Ashtanga yoga. So it's for the most part, the difference is that we are more, inclusive, and I would say open system these days. If you are a computer professional, you would probably know that we just are open system, which means there is a plug and play. We just give you more concepts, more of why we do in a certain way, and then you can bring your techniques. We can add techniques. So in a way, we are inclusive in that sense. So yeah, hope that answers. Any other question to? Okay.
Yeah, I think right at the top of the hour, maybe some closing thoughts and statements. And again, I can't encourage you enough to participate with Ashwiniji in this yoga teacher training program. We need to have this ability and level of awareness and ability to teach so that we can share it, so that it's not white folk teaching hot yoga on street corners, so that it's Hindu people from a Sanatana Dharma perspective sharing the depth and the layers that yoga comes with. So please do participate. Enroll in this course and a yoga course and any course at Hindu University of America. We're going to be starting in this next week. So again, thank you for participating and joining, and I'll give it to Ashwiniji for some closing thoughts. Thank you everyone for joining.
There is one more question here. Can you describe the difference between option 1 and option 2? So in both in the yoga teacher training as well as in holistic yoga session, we have 2 options. One is for the East Coast, people who are in East Coast zone, Trinidad and Tobago and various such time zones. We basically have 7 a.m. EST to 9 a.m. EST, one session, followed by a break for people to do whatever 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. is one option. For people with East Coast, 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. you can straight away join like that, or you take your morning practicum training in the morning from your 7 a.m. versus the West Coast 7 a.m. That's the difference. There's no other difference. Only the timing option has been given to you. So if this makes it more convenient for some of you people, that is something you want to choose, especially if you are from the East Coast or even central time. For you, it will be 6 a.m. and you finish your 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., take care of your children, various home chores and everything, and come back and join. That's the idea. Okay. And the difference between the holistic yoga and the teacher training is the holistic yoga is only 3 weekends. Those are the answers. And all right, so with this, yes, somebody sent an article, sure, and thank you so much. I'll look into it. Now, please let us know if you're interested in joining any of our courses. This is basically what we have, the whole Panchakosha model based the practices of yoga, the concept of yoga, and not only just that, you get an entire community of yoga, the peer group and the whole entire, extended family with HUA and yoga courses from Yoga Bharati. Constantly we exchange ideas and courses, and you are in a safe place to grow spiritually. That's my 2 cents. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Thank you, Ashwiniji. Always a pleasure.
Sure. Thank you.